and welcome back to Move Wilder. My name is Hannah and today I'm going to take you through a beginner's workout that is purely mat based. You might need some equipment for this workout and that is a resistance band. Let's get going. Welcome to my setup video. So in this video I am going to show you how to set yourself up for good standing alignment. So you're going to bring your feet together. You're going to take your heels out and then bring your toes out to meet them. So your feet are sitting underneath your hips. You can take them to shoulder width if that is more comfortable for you. Then we're just going to take a gentle rock backwards and forwards, pushing the weight down into your toes and then into your heels. And I want you to make that rock slower and slower until you bring your weight to a standstill where that weight is evenly balanced between your heel and toe. And we're going to push the weight more into the outside of the foot than the inside. Nice soft knee, so make sure that you're not locking out the knee joint. And then we're coming up to our pelvis and we're going to take a gentle tuck and tilt, bringing that pelvis to a standstill where that tailbone is pointing down towards the ground, re-stacking those vertebrae, growing towards the ceiling, eyes on the horizon, shoulder blades melting down your back. Now I'm going to take you through the breathing core and pelvic floor. So as you inhale, your diaphragm is going to move down into your abdominal space. So your belly is going to grow and your rib cage is going to expand. Your pelvic floor releases at this point. As you exhale, your pelvic floor engages. So we're thinking sit bone to sit bone, pubic bone to tailbone, pulling your hip bones together, pulling your ribs down towards your hips and in from the sides. As you then inhale again, we're going to expand that rib cage, let go of that pelvic floor, and then we're going to exhale, bring that rib cage back in, engage that pelvic floor. So again, we're thinking sit bone to sit bone, pubic bone to tailbone, pulling those hip bones together. So we're just going to do a couple of breaths together just to get that movement and that feeling going. This is something you can practice during the day, so you don't have to be doing Pilates to do this. You can practice this good breathing technique in whatever you are doing. And then coming back into your rest pose, ready to start our first week's video. I'm now going to take you through two exercises for your arms. So we're going to stand in the band for our first exercise, and then we're going to pull the band backwards. We're going to hinge at the hips first, so your body is leaning forward, and then we're going to just pull backwards with our arms. So you can feel that work in your arm and maybe into the shoulder and upper back as well. Once we've done these, we're going to move on to our bicep curl. So you might find you need to move to 1 foot in the band for your bicep curl if you've got a short band. And then we're going to come back to our rest pose. Now we're going to do a seated row. So you're going to come to sitting, legs straight out in front of you, and pop the band around the top of your foot. Then you're just going to hold onto the band, keeping your upper body upright, head looking forward, and you're just going to pull the band back so your elbows just come slightly past your body. Hold for a couple of seconds and then release back off. If you need to make this harder, you can pull the band in so the band is a little bit more tense. If you need to make it easier, you can just release some band out. The other way you can make this harder is once you've pulled it towards you, you could just hold it there for a couple more seconds before you release, keeping yourself nice and tall. And then once you've finished, coming back into your rest pose. We're now going to take you through swimming. So we're going to come down onto our front. Going to stretch your arms out in front of you and your legs out behind you. We're going to start with lifting the opposite arm and leg. And as you lift the opposite arm and leg, I want to pull your belly button towards your spine. Really engage your core, stretch that arm and leg out. And then we're going to swap to the opposite pair. So again, you're going to really stretch that arm and leg out. Every time you stretch that arm and leg out, I want you to think about how long you can make yourself. This is really good for building strength in that posterior chain. Once you've done this first set of opposite arm and leg, we're going to go into a flow set next. So you're going to lift your head, neck and shoulders again off the mat. Lift one side and then we're going to gently flow from one side to the other. So the rhythm is quicker. It doesn't mean that you're rocking, so I want you to really think about using your core to stop that rock, and you're just going to slowly move from side to side, but with no rest and stretch in the middle this time. So it's a flowing set, going to build more strength in that back, glutes and hamstrings. Once you've finished, coming into child's pose, so we're just going to stretch out that back. We're holding this for your own count of 20 seconds, and then you can come back into your rest position. This next move is cat flap letterbox, which is a great core exercise. So we're going to come to lying down on our backs, feet are hip distance apart, flat on the floor. Pelvis in neutral, so just take a gentle tuck and tilt if you need to bring that pelvis into neutral alignment where there's just a small gap under that lower back. You can check that with your hand. Palms are facing up so you can't push down into your upper body, and your knees are going to be above your hips, so we're keeping our legs in what we call our tabletop position. Going to take an inhale, and then on your exhale you're going to engage your core and pelvic floor and stretch the leg out as if you were going to put your foot through the letterbox on your front door. Going to inhale, hold it there, and then exhale, come back to the center. Going to inhale there, prepare, exhale. This time we're going to place the foot through the cat flap, so we're bringing that leg lower. That's the more harder position. So thinking about, as you extend that leg out, what's happening in your belly. So making sure your ribs stay in contact with your hips. So rib to hip connection is really important here. Pulling those hip bones into the middle. Again, I'm going to hold that for an inhale and pause, and then exhale back to the center. You can alternate legs if you need to make this slightly less challenging. You could also do this with one leg in tabletop instead of two, which again would make it less challenging if you're finding this quite difficult. I really want you to think about that position and the use of your core here. We're really working those core muscles hard. Once you've finished one leg, we're going to move to the other leg, exactly the same. So exhale, taking the leg away from the body, up as if you're going to post your foot through the letterbox, holding for an inhale, and then exhale, returning to your starting tabletop position. Inhaling in the middle to prepare, exhale, taking the leg lower, thinking about that rib to hip, so pulling your ribs down towards your hips, keeping hold of that connection, pulling those hip bones into the middle, switching on that pelvic floor, so thinking sit bone to sit bone, pubic bone to tailbone to do so. Making sure that little gap behind your low back doesn't increase in size, so it should stay small because your back should remain in its neutral position and just the leg moves. Once you finish, taking a full body stretch and then returning to your sitting rest pose. We're now going to perform star stretch, one of my favourites. So we're going to take your feet out slightly wider than hip distance, arms are raised slightly wider than shoulder distance, and then you're going to stretch up with the left arm, push down into your right foot, stretch up with your right arm and push down into your left foot. This is just a really nice stretch for the full body. You can look to where you're stretching up with your hand if you want to, or you can keep your head facing forward, whatever is more comfortable. And when you've finished, returning back to your rest pose. Thanks for joining my beginner's mat work today. I hope you found it really beneficial. If you did, please subscribe to my channel for more videos that will help you become stronger and keep you moving and doing all of the things you love to do for longer. And also hit the like button so other people can find this video and benefit from my content as well. Thank you so much for being here. It really does mean the world.